What if I told you guys that the Catholic Church didn't just give us saints, sacraments, and hymns, but they also gave us some of the most mouth-watering and delicious, blessed by history food traditions? That's right. Behind every Latin chant and incense swing, there's probably a pot of stew simmering in the monastery kitchen somewhere. And no joke, some of these dishes are centuries old and they're divinely delicious. Some are eaten after fasting, and some are eaten just because, let's be honest, us Catholics, we love a good feast. So whether you're a cradle Catholic, a convert, or just here for the food, today we're going to take a look at some of the delicious dishes around the world. And wait until you hear what the Spanish nuns do with egg yolks. Seriously, it's holy and slightly suspicious. But before we begin, guys, if you like this video or any of my videos, consider liking and subscribing. You subscribing is the best way to support the work that I do, and I can continue to make videos like this for you guys. And let's push for 1K followers. All right, so let's begin. Let's go continent by continent and sprinkle in a little Catholic tradition, some culture spice, and maybe even a few laughs. Number 1, let's look at Italy. What we would like to call Friday fasting and fish. Of course, you knew we were going to start here. I mean, Italy is obviously a very Catholic nation, and Catholics plus Italians equals fish on Friday. And all Italians know that Friday is fish day, especially the good Catholic ones, the old grandmas and grandpas in the Catholic faith from Italy. They love to have their fish on Friday. Whether it's bacala, which is spoiled cod, or maybe even an Italian fish soup, Italy's seafood traditions are rooted in the church's history on fasting days. The Vatican never officially said, "Thou shalt not eat pasta." It might as well have. Italians, they love their fish, but they love their pasta. However, when you're fasting, Italians take that stuff very serious, and they like to make these fish dishes. They're a nice way to fast because they're delicious and it's healthy. It's recommended, I think, that you eat fish once a week. And if you're a traditional Catholic, you probably fast on Fridays. There's actually a fun fact here that during Lent, many Catholics do eat pasta con ceci, which is a chickpea pasta. It's a very humble, a very simple dish, and it's very healthy and is perfect for penance and pleasure. So if you want to make penance for some of the sins you've committed, but you want to have a little bit of pleasure added in there because of the taste, it's a good dish to make. The Italians, they love their fish for fasting. They love their fish for penance. That's what they do. Then let's look at Mexico. We have what I'd like to call rosaries, and rosca de reyes isn't just a sweet bread. It's actually full-blown theological scavenger hunt. This crown-shaped bread is eaten usually on January 6th. It kind of hides a tiny baby Jesus inside. And if you get the baby, there's a tradition that you will be hosting the next party and possibly inheriting some responsibility you didn't ask for, just like us Catholics in real life. You know how us Catholics are. We like to take on things that we don't always ask for. I told y'all about the meme I saw once where it says, the world says you're going to suffer, and the Catholic looks at the world and says, haha, joke's on you, I like to suffer. So, it's kind of one of those things, we take on things that we don't always ask for, but that's just the Catholic faith. It's just, that's a good way to see the representation of the Catholic faith. You're inheriting this responsibility if you find that baby Jesus. Also, Mexican Catholics are very into Lent. They're culinary warriors when it comes to Lent. They'll have chilies, they'll have tamales, they'll have those nice little spicy foods, which are staples of Mexico during Lent. And I'll be honest, I think the saints would approve. I mean, who wouldn't? That food is delicious. It's got the spice to it. That's one of the reasons I love Mexican food. Mexican food is still my favorite food. I love how spicy they make their food. And I think the saints would approve of that spicy flavor. It hits hard, and maybe it's a little too strong, so it makes us suffer still. As good Catholics, that's what we're good at, right? Suffering. Then we move on to Spain. Spain, you got leave it to Spain to have some of the best bakeries, obviously, for Lent. There are some monasteries in Spain that are famous for egg yolk sweets, and they're created by nuns who, let's be honest, had too many leftover yolks from clarifying sacramental wine. I guess they had all that yolk and they decided, well, let's do something fun with it for Lent. And if you've ever wanted to feel like you're sinning just by biting into something, this is probably it, because it's sticky, it's delicious, and it's holy, and it's a spiritual experience that you will never forget. You're basically having a spiritual experience just by eating delicious food. And yes, you can buy them through the little wooden turntables, so you never see the nuns, just in case I have some introverts in here who don't want to see the nuns, or maybe some people who have been traumatized by a nun hitting them with a yardstick or something, because I've heard, I've not been to a Catholic school, well, I've been to a Catholic university, but not a Catholic school. So I've heard that some of those nuns, they're a little strict. So, you can buy it on a turntable and not have to worry about seeing those nuns. And this one, guys, is from the Philippines, which is where I live right now. And everybody knows how Catholic the Philippines is. Well, it's synagogue for the soul. And the Philippines, being Catholic, isn't just a religion, it's a lifestyle. And food is a huge part of that lifestyle. And I know I get invited to go eat all the time. Every day someone is inviting me to eat, or if I'm walking, someone's inviting me to have some coffee and some bread or something. Someone's always inviting you to do something that involves food. So everybody knows how faithful the Philippines is to their Catholic faith. And on the 9-day novena before Christmas, there are people who attend dawn mass, which I haven't done yet. But my fiance, she wants to do it. She's just never up early enough. I think this year I'll probably do it. But anyhow, they attend this dawn mass, and then they absolutely demolish rice cakes. They love their rice cakes. And let's be honest, rice cakes, they're cheap to make and they're delicious. And I mean, having it right after church, sure thing for me. I'd be happy, especially during a dawn mass. You go before you eat, so you're going to be a little hungry after mass. You eat. It's like you come for the Eucharist and you stay for the carbs. Let's be honest, that's what it's like. You're coming for the Eucharist, the most holy of all sacraments, and then you're going to stay for the carbs. Enjoy your time eating. And synagogue, which is for those who don't know, it's kind of a sour stew. They use a lot of vinegar, and they use pork, and they have vegetables. My fiance puts potatoes in them. It's really good. Actually, synagogue is one of my favorite foods in the Philippines. It might not be liturgically required to eat it, but it should be, because it's comforting, it's humble, and it just feels Catholic. It really does. I'm not a big pork guy. I don't eat pork very much, but synagogue is one way I will eat pork. It's delicious. And it's a soup, and it's healthy. When you come to the Philippines, you got to try it. And then let's look at France with their cheese and wine at the monastery. We all know France. Blessed are the cheesemakers. Literally, blessed are the cheesemakers. Because French monks are basically inventing a Trappist cheese, and they're perfecting wine in silence. Can you imagine being so disciplined that it takes to not talk while making wine? That requires a lot of discipline. That's military style discipline right there. And cheese and wine, let's be honest, guys. I mean, that's the best way to have wine. You get a good cheese to pair with your wine. It's always perfect. That's why when they have the pairing sessions with wine, they get the best wine, you have cheese. There's also some Lenten traditions in France that include this thing that's thin soup eaten in penitence. But meanwhile, the outside of Lent, they're still eating it and drinking some delicious wine. It's good food. What can you say? I mean, what can you say? It's all about the balance, and Catholicism is all about the balance. My friends, let's be honest, you're balancing out some non-healthy, some good, some bad. Who was it? There was a Catholic saint that actually talked about that too. I think it might have been St. Thomas Aquinas, about the virtues and the cardinal sins, and how the cardinal sins are basically just like a perversion of the virtues. And virtues is like finding this perfect balance between different actions. One of the virtues is justice. You can be too just, to not take into consideration the person's life or whatever, or you could also not be just at all and just let anything happen. So there's always that balancing act for us Catholics. Then you have Ethiopia, which is fasting that's actually kind of vegan. The Catholics in Ethiopia follow the Alexandrian rite, and they have over 180 days of fasting a year, and that's half the year without meat. That doesn't mean their food's bad. I know for a lot of us, especially us Americans, it's weird to not have meat for more than half of the year. But you can still make good food that doesn't have meat. You know, they kind of eat things like lentils and stews, spiced vegetables. And the vegans would love to go there during this time. This is a vegan's dream. And they were doing it way before Instagram made being a vegan trendy. This has been happening for centuries. So go check it out for my vegan friends. I'm not a vegan, but if you are, go check it out. Oh yeah, and don't forget the coffee. I forgot about the coffee. Coffee was invented by Ethiopians, I think, and a lot of monks drink it. Do with that information what you will. And finally, guys, there's also the Vatican kitchen. The Vatican actually has its own cookbook. And yes, the Pope eats breakfast like a normal person, just so y'all know. Just throwing that out there. But in the Vatican cookbook, you can expect things like espressos, maybe some frittatas, and just different things from around the world. And a lot of it will also come from wherever the Pope at the time, wherever his country is, there will be recipes from that country, which is nice. I haven't really looked into the cookbook, the Vatican cookbook, but I'm sure it has some really good recipes, especially for Lent or for fasting or for Advent or for the Easter season like right now. You probably won't find Doritos, though. It's probably not going to be in the Pope's pantry, but who knows? And again, he is the people's Pope, so we won't judge if he's eating Doritos, especially the Cool Ranch. If you're going to get Doritos, get Cool Ranch. So guys, what's the takeaway, though? Here we are laughing and joking about the different foods, but what's the basic takeaway here? The basic takeaway is that food is more than food. For Catholics, it's memory, it's family, and it's prayer. It's time to be with other people. It's time to be with God. It's not just about eating and eating and eating, because that can go too far, obviously. That can be gluttony. But it's a feast on the calendar, or a fast that tests the soul. Every dish that we've talked about today is tied to devotion and discipline and community. People come together, they eat these things like the rice cakes in the Philippines, or like some of the foods in Ethiopia. People come together, they eat this. This is what they do. They have the discipline to be able to not eat meat or to not eat certain types of food during the year. And instead, they found other ways to make food that they want to use to be devoted to God. So yeah, we laugh, we joke, we have a good time, but also remember that the takeaway is that this is more than just food. So, the next time you're biting on a tamale, or you're twirling on some pasta, or you're sipping some of the best monastery wine you've ever had, remember, you're not just eating, you're joining a centuries-old tradition that unites faith and flavor. With that being said, guys, let me know in the comment, what is your favorite Catholic dish? Or do you have a favorite Catholic dish? Let's have a discussion. Let's see what different people are making from around the world that are Catholic. And maybe, come up with some recipes or try each other's dishes. We really want to know if it's something that only you do or your parish does. That'd be so fun. I love to try new foods. So leave it in the comments section below. Let's talk about it. And you guys know, if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more things that involve being Catholic and traveling and mental health and things like that. If you want to know more, subscribe. I try to make videos every day, Monday through Friday. And also consider sharing it with one of your friends who eats like a king, who feasts like a king on Fridays, but still tries to fast. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the description if you want to help support any of the videos I do. My Patreon is in there. Until next time, guys, stay hungry for good food and for God. Know that you guys are valuable and that you matter. God bless and peace.